Calvin from Funeral Shakes. Welcome to Hush. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm, long day at work, but we'll get on.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
That's okay. My first question is about kind of discovering you as a band anyway, and it obviously came through, I think it was either I got a press release or social media from Public City,
right?
Obviously your PR company.
Yeah.
And the thing that I quite like, I love a band in like a uniform.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like the aesthetic thing to me is it draws you in quite well. How did you kind of come about? What were the origins of the kind of the uniform type thing?
Well, kind of like you say, you're immediately drawn in when you see a band looking like a band, and we had a bunch of sort of bands that we liked and we listened to that were kind of inspired by, especially in terms of like visual looks and stuff, and even going back to like more sort of classic bands. You look at like Bill Haley and his Comets, for example, like and bands of that era. They always looked like a band. They always had a particular image and a particular style, and we kind of thought that it'd be a cool thing to have. When we're starting a band, let's look like a band.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it kind of it kind of references yet modernises those kind of bands from the 60s and the 70s. It's kind of a that look, but modernised somehow.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't think we'd all have the budget to go and wear like really expensive looking suits like they did in the 50s and 60s, but yeah, like you say, it's modernised because we're doing a much more modern thing anyway. It's punk rock, so
yeah.
It's stylish punk rock, if you will. It's the Hives and Rocket from the Crypt, and they all kind of have this look about, they look like a band and they have a certain style, and it's elegant without being extravagant.
Yeah, and I mean, I've not managed to see you guys live yet, because I think that the last time you were near me, I had something else on. But I imagine kind of like in those smaller kind of like punk rock venues, like the whole aesthetic of a grimy punk rock venue, and then that kind of uniform must make the photos and stuff look banging. Like it must make a really cool aesthetic when you walk in.
Yeah, and but one, people like to take photos of things that are quite easy to look good, and that's why there's always 1,000 photographers wanting to take photos of bands like the Misfits or Slipknot, or be one of those bands, because they've immediately got a look, and it's just four dudes standing there in jeans and t-shirts. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't our reasoning for doing it, no. Of course, but yeah, it's for us as well, as much about getting in character. You're starting a show, you get your clothes on, and you become the singer of the band versus the guy that's driven the van there, or what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of obviously that whole original press release and stuff like that, like I know you've said that one of the things you wanted to do was kind of hit the ground running and not be one of these bands that plays 200 shows and then releases an album. Like,
yeah, of course.
I mean, how did that go about? Like, in terms of recording an album, was it self-financed, or had you worked with worked with labels and stuff like that with a view to just hitting the ground running?
A bit of all of that, really. We self-financed. We did the record. We actually did the record over about a year and a bit. It took a little while, but then we did it. We didn't do it how other bands may do it. They'll have like, right, we've got 12 songs, we're going to go into the studio for a month and record 12 songs. We didn't really want to do that, because having all been in bands before and stuff like that, we were very aware of the fact that like spending a month in the studio it's not unpleasant, but it's certainly, like, for me at least, like, it becomes not a bit sterile, but a bit just a bit like you're kind of trapped, you know what I mean? Like,
you start getting under each other's feet, kind of thing.
Yeah, and a little stir crazy, and you're listening to you're listening to the songs over and over and over and over and over, but you're doing it for a whole month. Versus, we did ours in stages, so we'd really focus on 3 or 4 songs. We'd spend time in the rehearsal room, the 4 of us, like working on those songs, really going over the finer details, and then recording them, and then recording 3 songs at a time or 4 songs at a time, and then taking away from it, coming back, and then being able to work on the next set of songs. Rather than trying to work on 12 songs and try and give 12 songs all of your attention. So we did that, which was cool. And with regards to hitting the ground running, we did. Like I said, we've all been in bands, and it's that thing of like, we can play 200 shows and then record the record, and we might have some fans, but if those fans don't know any of our songs and can't hear any of our songs, they're probably going to forget about us really quickly. How many times you go see a support band or a band and they've got nothing out, and you remember the name, and you might keep an eye out for it when it comes out, but if you've not heard it before, if there's nothing present for you to hear, there's a good chance that you're not going to give it a lot of attention. And you might get lost. So we didn't want to do that, and we wanted to be able to play shows and have people that wanted to see us from the start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, in terms of the album, the sound, I'm a big fan of the album. I listened to it again this morning on my way to work.
Thank you.
How did you go about building the sound? Because obviously, I know like 2 of you obviously worked before in the band together, and then you brought kind of Lee and Em in.
That's right.
Were you 2 working, and kind of did you kind of have a idea of where you wanted to take the sound before those 2 guys joined, or how did you go about?
Barker and I, and mostly Barker, to be honest, wrote the songs. Just how we lived together, so we write the songs in our house, and obviously we were in other bands together before, and we had these sort of ideas that didn't really fit the mould of our old band, and that kind of ran its course, and we were like, well, we should do something with these songs. We started demoing them. Like I bought a computer and was like, right, I'm going to learn how to program drums. I was like, all right, here we go. We started programming the drums because we didn't know any other drummers, and we started writing these songs, as if we were programming, as if it was just the 2 of us. And then Simon would play all the guitar parts, I'd play the bass and program the drums, and one of us is going to have to sing. I was like, oh well, okay, guess that's probably going to be me then. Like we didn't ever intentionally decide to become a singer as such, but ended up doing it for the purposes of the demos. And then we were just at a show one day. We went to see the band Mets, and we ran into Lee. We're like, well, how's it going? What you up to? The musicians that know each other chat, what you've been working on, what you're coming up. And, we got round to the subject of Funeral Shakes, and I was like, if you know any drummers, because we don't know any, and you might know more than we do. And he's like, oh yeah, send me the songs over, and I'll have a think. And we'll come back to us, dude. I love it. I'd love to be involved. And we're like, oh wow, cool. That was surprisingly easy. And we had a similar thing happen with Em. I was driving. I got a phone call. I guess Em was on tour with one of her bands, and they had a breakdown in their van, and I got called to go out and pick them up because we still had the van from the old band. And a similar thing. One night we were doing a mega long drive from Brighton to Glasgow, and you're killing the hours, and we're like, oh, what you been up to? What you listening to? All that sort of stuff. And we showed. I heard early Nervous demos, and I showed her early Funeral Shakes demos, and again I was just like, if you know anyone that plays guitar and would want to be involved, and then was straight away like, yeah, I'd love to be. So we ended up pretty accidentally getting a full band that's worked really well. So it is a really well-rounded album. I think that's one of the things that stands out to it, and it's interesting that obviously you took that 1.5 years to record it. I'm assuming that's probably because the way that you've gone about it. Obviously, every time you've gone back, I suppose you had kind of fresh ears and you weren't getting burnt out. So it's one of my favourite albums of the year. I'll be honest. Where did the influences lie on that? Because I know obviously you've been in other bands and you've obviously said the whole punk thing, but to me it's quite its own sound. I can't really feel
or hear the exact influences in it. So I was just interested, kind of what bands you were listening going into it, and kind of what the aim was.
Well, I guess that's really. I'm glad you think that. There's obviously a lot of Rocket from the Crypt influence in there.
Yeah.
There's. I mean, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say, like pinpoint one or two bands. There's as you say, it's a kind of, there's a lot of different sounds on there, and there's a lot of, like I say, a well-rounded record. A band we listened to a lot going into it was a band called Mrs. Magician from San Diego, who do that kind of depressed Beach Boys thing better than anyone else on the planet, and that was definitely a big influence. But yeah, there's no real one sort of thing. We had a pretty open book when we were writing it, when we were recording it. We'd try everything, and then we're like, oh, okay, we'll settle on that. And certain songs like really evolved from their demo versions to their finished versions based on how they kind of felt with the band playing them versus how we'd sort of demoed them at home, you know.
Yeah, it is like I say, it is a great album, and I like the fact that the influences aren't apparent. I like the fact that it is its own thing. Like weirdly, the only thing I could kind of reference to it is purely kind of almost Frank Carter and stuff like that. And I think that's purely just because you guys are from around the same area. It's just it's almost just an accent thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not it's not a musical thing. It's just that kind of Watfordy area twang. That's the only thing that lies through it. So you guys are one of our bands to watch at this year's 2000 Trees, which is one of the reasons kind of we wanted to do the interview. You got the likes of kind of Shikari, Moose Blood, Queen Come. Are there any bands that you're looking forward to seeing over that weekend, with the exception obviously of Nervous, because that would be
there's a ton of bands. I'm pretty excited about the fact we even got asked to play. Personally, I'm really excited to see Queen Kwong.
Yeah.
I saw her the other week in London, and I was like, wow, she's amazing. This band's awesome. Turnstile are playing. That's Simon, you can hear in the background.
Yeah.
Hello. Meatwave, Blood Command play the same day as us. Turbo Wolf, are they playing as well? Yeah, I suppose we should say Nervous as well, even though M's in our band. And Gold Key, of course, Steve produced our record and plays in Gold Key. So, but yeah, loads of bands. I didn't even realise how many bands there are that I want to see. So
weirdly, I think it's arguably the best lineup of the summer in terms of festivals. Like, not to knock on other ones, but like I was looking at Leeds last night and the lineup for Leeds, and I'm not overly excited by it. Like, it's a weird one because it's still quite a small festival, and obviously it's properly in the forest and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think the good thing with it is 2000 Trees has done that thing that a lot of other festivals haven't kind of dared to do, and they've put a lot of British bands on it.
Yeah.
Like, you look at like the punk rock stage at Reading and Leeds, or you look at even Slam Dunk this weekend. There are some British bands, but a lot of the lineup isn't. Whereas you look at the 2000 Trees lineup, and almost all of it's British.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of it is, or that you should only watch British bands. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they've given the British bands an opportunity that other British bands don't often get at festivals.
Yeah.
You know?
They've not relied on those kind of big American bands or big foreign bands to shore it up.
No, absolutely, and quite often, especially in the case of like Reading and Leeds, like you don't get that many opportunities as a young British band. They'll maybe put like 5 or 6 bands on over the course of the weekend. I think it's a few more this year, but you look at the 2000 Trees lineup, and there's maybe 5 or 6 international bands, and it's cool. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that British bands are better than any other bands or anything like that. That's not my point. My point is that the British scene at the moment has a really, really good collection of bands, and it's nice that like those bands are getting a platform in front of a decent festival crowd. Yeah, at the end of the day, if British bands don't given that chance, then British bands can't grow, and the industry can't grow. So it makes absolutely. And you have to look at the success that we've had with some British bands, like be it in the Shikari or Creeper or Moose Blood or anything like that. Like, people are going going to get into it if you give it the push and give it the support. So, I think it's really cool that 2000 Trees have focused on getting a lot of those bands that maybe aren't quite big enough or aren't recognised enough to go on to Reading and Leeds, or to get onto Slam Dunk, or get onto those other festivals, Download, and they've really given it a push, and I think it's really cool, and I'm excited to be part of it.
What does the future hold in 2018 for Funeral Shakes? What have you got? Is there more festivals, more headline tours, or anything like that you can't talk about?
We've got a couple of other festivals. We're doing another festival called Wilkstock, another charity festival, with the Fratellis, I think, are playing it, and a bunch of other bands like Gold Key are on that as well. And we've got some headline shows we can't talk about yet for sort of August time. The rest of the year, we're just really trying to focus our attention on getting on support slots. Like, we just want to go out and play to other people's fans and do our best to kind of win their crowd over,
What you got because,
we did a headline tour ourselves and kind of realised that we do have some fans and they're awesome and they come out to our shows, but in order for us to grow that fan base, we need to be seen by other people's fans. So that's kind of our next priority, really, is to support some bands. And in the meantime, we're working on album number 2. Funnily enough, we were just doing it before you called. We're just doing some demos for the next record and trying to make it as good or even better than the first one.
Ooh, exciting!
Yeah. We've got a whiteboard in our room at home. We've got 12 song names, and we're just putting X's in all the spots where we need to demo them. So we're getting through it.
You can't beat a bit of whiteboard planning.
Oh, mate, the whiteboard's invaluable. Like, it's a really, like, when we get a guitar part done and get an X on the board, it's quite a satisfying moment.
Nothing better. I'll finish 2 points. I noticed on your Twitter that it seems you may have a fleeting interest in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be open to providing the music to kind of one of the NXT takeovers?
Oh my god, that would be an absolute dream. Are you kidding me? Like, I would. Do you know what? Funnily enough, I've actually said this in the past. Like, one of my dream job. People are like, if you could do anything else, what would you do? I don't know. I love doing what I do. If I could do any other job other than this one, I would love to be the guy that writes entrance music for wrestlers.
Cephos, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I would love that gig. I tell you, like, we've got a badass wrestler. We need him to kind of some stomping music to come to the ring. Leave it with me. Tune my guitar to Drop D, and away we go. No problem.
All I'm going to say is that the people who did your PR got Mastodon on Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I think WWE. Well, as much as I would love to, I don't know how that kind of. I don't know who makes that decision. I don't know if it's creative people at WWE or publishers or who kind of gets that push. I suppose I should ask Frank Carter.
I was going to say ask Frank. Yeah.
He had a song on it, but yeah, I'd love to. That'd be an absolute dream. I'm not even joking. That'd be amazing.
And final question.
Which song you did the record? Which song would you have on Takeover? Which is the most wrestling song on our album?
It's a hard one. See, I think the opening track's really quite punchy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the one that always stands out to me. But
all right. Yeah, well, we could have Over You as a wrestling theme. I'll take it. I'll take it.
I mean, on NXT, anything's over. Anything you can have anything on Takeover these days. So that. Final question. We've talked about 2000 Trees. Can you name 10 types of tree?
10 types of tree. Can I confer with Simon?
Go for it.
10 types of trees, Simon.
Weeping willow, the saddest of all the trees.
Oh, it is a sad tree.
Birch.
Silver birch. That's 2 separate trees, but one. Conifer.
Chestnut.
Said willow.
Christmas.
Is that?
Okay, it might be a third tree, you know.
I think we're on 6.
6.
6.
Right. More. Dutch elm. What's an acorn tree? What are they called? Oak tree.
Cork tree.
Cork tree. I think you've made.
Isn't that a Fall Out Boy song?
Yeah, from under cork trees. Fall Out Boy album.
Right. Joshua Tree. It's another album with a tree.
That's 10.
How many have we got to?
That's 10.
That's 10. What's that? We can name funeral shakes.
Apple tree, cherry tree.
No, that's 12. A dozen trees. We can do our own festival.
We can just crack on for 2,000 if you want.
Yeah. Carry on. I will at this point I think press stop on the recorder, but thanks very much for your time.